Welcome to everyone to today's DEI award presentation. I would like to present the award on behalf of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Council and the ABRF Executive Board. As you might know, the ABRF DEI award was created to honor, celebrate, and give due recognition to individuals, groups, or organizations whose work has contributed to a more diverse, inclusive, and equitable scientific community. Our past winners have included the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation, 500 Women Scientists, and Dr. Tashaka Cunningham. This year, I am excited to present the award to Feather Ives, who is a member of this community, of the Shared Research Resources community. She is a research associate in the Molecular Imaging Center at UC Berkeley and the co-director of the Bioscience department at Merritt College in Oakland, California. She was a past member of the ABRF DEI award, and I was happy to serve on, or the award council. I was happy to serve on that council with Feather for several years. She's a graduate of the Merritt microscopy program, where she gained the technical skills needed for a mid-career transition to core administration. And she's a founding DEI working group chair for the Bioimaging North America, as well as a founding leadership member of the Pair Up, or Partnering to Advance the Imaging Research for Black Scientists. So please, without any further introduction, welcome Feather Ives.
Oh, is there a place from?
Here is a lovely award.
Thank you so much. Let me take this off, okay?
All right. Here you go.
Thank you. Oh, that's so pretty. Thank you. Thank you so much. Whew. My watch does not indicate my heart is racing, so that's a good sign. Thank you. I am very honored to receive this award. Thank you to the DE&I and Belonging Council and the council chairs, Tanya and Mary, for recognizing my work. And thank you to ABRF leadership. And thank you to everyone who is here today to learn about my work. So I am presenting on public health, STEM, and dynamic partnerships, my journey increasing diversity in the biomedical technician workforce. Okay. Is it just a button? Is it on? I'm not advancing. No, he did that. Is it on? Okay. So the agenda, okay. So in this talk, I will tell the story of my career transition and share my work that was only possible with the support of mentors, sponsors, opportunities, and partnerships. I hope it will inspire you to become mentors or sponsors who create opportunities for capable adults who are pursuing their STEM dreams. Okay, well, advance, please, sir. You can come up here? Thank you. Can you pause? I appreciate it. Maybe it's just not on, you know. Maybe I need to reboot. It's in my auto reply. Please restart your computer if you don't hear from me. It'll probably work. What, I need to press harder? Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, some things I know for sure. Mentorship can be a small act. You have time for this work if you maybe don't have time right now. Adults who transition careers bring professional skills and work ethics with them that are desperately needed in STEM and healthcare. Adults are trainable. Talented and bright youth are being left out of STEM. And research, medicine, science, drug development, clinical trials, and healthcare need us to do our small parts toward a more equitable STEM future and equitable healthcare. Okay, so first about the Merritt Bioscience department. We train students in light microscopy, histotechnology, and genomics bench techniques in theory, and students go on to work in industry, academia, and healthcare settings. Many of our students come to us with BS biology degrees, but no skills and no career coaching, which is what we provide them at Merritt in our career education programs. So a little bit about my career change story. So I had gone to, this is 2015, I'd gone to a housewarming party of my ex's, well, he was my partner at the time, his employees' housewarming party, which I really didn't need to go to, right? So I'm telling this story because it just makes everything sort of kismet. But I went to this party with my 5-month-old, and her husband, one of the people who lives in the new place, starts telling me about his wife's new job as a histotech. And I had never heard of this, but he was so excited. She was making like $40 an hour at the time. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was making $0, so that was gonna be a good bump, you know? And I knew I wanted to go back to work eventually, but I didn't want to return to what I was doing, which was property management or sales. I'd been in newspaper sales in the aughts. So I was exploring, and she was like telling me how she was processing biopsy tissue at Exact Science, or it was Genomic Health at the time, and she loved her work, and she was like pathology and this and that, and I was like, oh, okay, this is very exciting. And so I think maybe later that night or the next day, I went and sent an email to the director of the program, and yeah, I didn't hear anything, but I was happy to get that email off. Long story short, I ended up enrolling, that was June 2015. I started the program on January 2016, January 26th, which was my daughter's first birthday. The program lasted about 1.5 years. I completed the histotech training and the microscopy training and the genomics training because as a 30-something-year-old black woman who was transitioning to a field I had never been in, I wanted all the skills. And so I had gone on an informational interview with Meredith Calvert at Gladstone Institute that January 2017, and it was really fun, but I didn't know that she really meant what she said when she was like, when you're done, you can have an internship here. And so when I finally finished all of the classes, I started doing this blind job search and was getting no replies. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give up, I'm gonna go and back to what I know, so, property management, working, in kind of social services. And then that didn't feel right either. People were like, do not give up, my mentors and stuff. So I ended up writing Meredith. And I was like, hey, Meredith, I'm done. Here's my portfolio of my images. And she was like, okay, come on. Yeah, well, I'll hire you as an intern. So that worked. And then the same week that I was going to start with her at Gladstone part-time, Chan Zuckerberg BioHub was hiring a bunch of they wanted a bunch of community college students to come in and be hands for their single-cell transcriptomic project, and they wanted full-time though, and I was like, well, I can't do full-time, I have to go to the core at Gladstone and do light microscopy and histology, can you take me part-time? And he was like, okay, fine, it's okay, you can come work part-time. So then I had 2 part-time internships doing all the things that I had gone to school for, and it was pretty cool. Fast forward to January 2018, the role at UC Berkeley at the Molecular Imaging Center opened up, and I was the candidate who got through 15 interviews that lasted all day to have been at the core since 2018. I never left Merritt that entire time. I was a student worker, I was an instructor assistant, and then in 2019 when I became eligible, I became adjunct faculty. And I didn't leave that entire time between 2015 and 2019 to go do anything else because I had a master plan. And I have been able to implement that plan the last 4 years as full-time faculty. So let me get to it. Okay, this is the email that I sent to Giselle in 2015 that I share with my students to kind of show how far that I've come after my initial email. I had a bachelor's. I'm like, am I still eligible to get a certificate? Am I louder now? Oh, okay, because I could hear me. Do you have any additional information? And I just share this with my students so they know where I started, because everybody, if they don't know where you started, they think you just magically are where you are and haven't gone through what they've gone through, and so, anyways. All right, so I'm sharing some Power BI tool data that's from the institution, because I just want to give you an idea of who our students are. So this is our students by gender for the last academic year. This is our students by age. So 58% of our students are over 25 and 33% are over 35. The institution doesn't break down data between 35 and 54, but I wish that they did. I do for the institution. And then students by race. So over 75% of our students come from ethnic and racial backgrounds that are underrepresented and excluded in science and healthcare. So that's the blue, orange, and purple there. So we're really proud of the fact we're a very diverse student body. This is important for me to share so that no one thinks that anything we're doing, we're leaving out any important demographics. So beginning in summer of 2022, I started an equity survey that I send directly to my students to just get to know them better. This is directly through my course. And I asked them, do you anticipate any barriers to your successful completion of Bioscience 9? And at the time, no one was doing this. It was right at the start of the pandemic. And a lot was going on. And I was about a year into my Master of Public Health at this point, and my focus was on completion of students in career education programs. So I developed this to kind of learn what my students were going through, because 9 times out of 10, your professor is not asking you about your personal life and your mental health. They're just not. So I ask about childcare concerns, basic needs, mental health, lack of technology, self-discipline, procrastination, these are pretty much everything that I go through. But it also helped me to destigmatize asking for help, because that last one says, if you checked any of these boxes, selects this box if you would like to know of the resources available to you. And data does show that faculty have a bigger role to play in student success by sending simple surveys like these out. And it has spread across the entire campus. Not everyone, but multiple majors. Math has implemented it, child services, sociology, and psych have all implemented these wellness surveys, and they've been very successful. So creating a culture of care on your campus. And I also asked about former foster youth and RU veteran, because they have special services on campus too. And we include student accessibility services statements, letting students know that they have rights to having accommodations in their course. And just from spending a lot of time learning how to design courses, especially when we were all forced into online teaching, I am pretty convinced everyone needs accommodations at this point. And gentleness and care and grace with our teaching will keep students who are vulnerable in sciences, especially at my level, of course. I mean, I'm not training the surgeons, so don't worry. They're gonna be, more trained down the line, but I wanna keep them in these entry and intro courses and not scare them off science by being, doing too much. Uh-oh. Oh, don't skip it. Okay. So this is important. So this is what our faculty looks like. Pretty diverse, right? So over the years, we have faculty who have associate's degrees, PhDs, MDs, and they have non-science backgrounds and science backgrounds. Almost any student can come here and find somebody to connect with throughout their time with us at Merritt College. And this is by design. This is intentional. Many of us were students who became faculty in the program, adjunct. There's only 2 full-time faculty, Giselle, bottom with the red hair, and me. We're the only 2 full-time faculty. Everyone else is adjuncts. Okay, so some of those dynamic partnerships I was talking about. So I have a sales background. Building relationships comes quite, it's natural for me to build these relationships, having had to do so as a salesperson. So these are a lot of the companies where our students go to work. That top row are where we have our strongest relationships and where a lot of our students work. They're happy. And the rest of them are, I have relationships with most of these places. And it's really cool that I've been able to spend 4 years building these relationships so that students can be pipelined into these companies and the network and merit and the reputation that we have for training students in research associate, lab tech, and different skill sets. And they don't always do what we train them to do at these jobs. But that's where the adults are trainable comes in, and we teach them that they're capable of being trained to learn new equipment. Do you think I knew how to run all those robots that cost $1 million at Chan Zuckerberg BioHub? No, I barely knew what I was doing, but I knew how to follow directions. Then they taught me the science after that. It was pretty cool. All right, okay. So just looking at some of my students here, some of the strongest partnerships we have for histotechs, those are my favorite companies right there. They're very dependable. Students can go directly to them, and they come directly to me, looking for students who want to be there for at least 3 years. I don't know if you've ever done staffing, but it is very expensive to use a staffing agency to get an employee, so we save them that money. I don't know if my voice is cracking. So my students are career focused, and that's why these employers love it. And these are some of the places that have some of the highest reports of students being happy and working there. The picture of the gentleman, Trey Sean there, he was one of the students who asked me if he came to learn microscopy. He was like, should I learn histo too? And I was like, absolutely, you're a black man, you need to learn it all. So he did, and now he is a certified histotech and genentech. They actually created a position for him, full-time, permanent, so that he wouldn't leave. Out of all the students I've ever had to go work at Genentech, they've all been contract, but they made this position because it is so hard to find a certified histotech, and he's great. Gladstone Institute, so this is an interesting story here with Aaron. I'll get to the partnership soon, but Aaron was my Scoop driver. If you're familiar with Scoop, it's like Uber for commuting in the morning. She was driving me to work, and I was still an IA at the time. I wasn't faculty. And she was like, yeah, my wife's in nursing school. And I was like, well, what are you going to do when she's done? It's like, I have this program where we train people to go into these fields and da-da-da-da. She showed up. She showed up like a year later, and she went on to work as a lab assistant at Gladstone Institute. And once she was done, she is now at Skyline finishing her associate's biotech degree, and she's going to transfer eventually. But this partnership started with Caroline Mills, who hired the first MMP, MHP grad in 2016, 2015. Meredith Calver became the director. She was where I got my internship. And the most recent director, who just left, employed 4 students as interns. And I hear that the new director is here, so I will be finding, there she goes, hi Jane. So I'll be excited to connect with you, because Gladstone, yay. So then I have UC Santa Cruz, which is a really awesome relationship that I'm building. So one of the faculty who was on the previous slide, she's doing her PhD in Elena Vasquez's lab, and she connected Elena with me. Actually, her husband was also on that slide. He teaches dual enrollment genomics courses to high schoolers. Anyway, she connected us, and we want to scale basically the training that they do at the Treehouse Childhood Cancer Initiative. So we haven't heard back yet on if our NIH funding has been, a proposal's been approved, but basically that proposal is the sole focus of training the genomics technician workforce, particularly those who do not hold a bachelor's or advanced degree. So if we are not funded, we are committed to finding a way to expand the 2B training to Merritt students. And I am currently completing the training for the spring quarter. I should say 2B is the Treehouse Undergraduate Bioinformatics Immersion Program that they offer to students at UC Santa Cruz who have, they're freshmen. It's an immersion program, so there are no expectations that you come in knowing bioinformatics or even anything about DNA, but they train us on that. And so the goal is that I take this training and help to scale it and give these opportunities to my high schoolers and my adults who are at Merritt once I have it down. So it's very cool. All right, another strong partnership I have in academia is with Dr. Samantha Lewis. She's research faculty at UC Berkeley. She's also one of my good friends since she came and joined us in 2018. Oops, excuse me. So the long-term partnership started with genomics modules featuring all scientists of color in racism and genetics and genomics. And most recently, she got her NSF career grant funded, and her education component was a partnership with Merritt College. And I don't think they said they'd seen anything like that before, but it's very exciting. So it's a paid internship in the Lewis Lab for Merritt Bioscience students in the Summer Cell and Organismal Physiology Education, or SCOPE program. And SCOPE is a blend of molecular biology, that's her, and public health and professional skills training, and that will be me. I need to lean this up. Okay, that's better. So love that partnership, and I can't wait to get started. This is a year of planning. We implement next year. Okay, so this is the Molecular Imaging Center at UC Berkeley, and this is where I give Holly Aaron her flowers for being one of the first advisory board member for the microscopy program, which started in 2009. She has held space for interns at the Molecular Imaging Center since the start of the microscopy program, and since I've been there since 2018, she's just kind of let me run amok, like run wild, do what I want. But I do one-day internships. It's really fun for people who are like prepping for an interview. I show them something really quick and get them warmed up. But here's a list of folks who've just done their internship there and where they've gone on to. So we had some research institutes go on to do imaging at other places. Mo went on to do a PhD at UC Merced. We've had people going on to industry, so exact sciences. Ashley, who's pictured there at the slide scanner, she was at Victoria's Secret while she was doing her internship, and once she got the job at Exact, she was able to quit and go work at Exact Sciences, which is, they make Cologuard, familiar? And they do the genomics testing for certain cancers, so that's where she's working and super excited. Christian was our most recent intern who's at Anatomage. Sierra, pictured down here with the slide scanner facing with the green shirt on. She was a stay-at-home mom for the last 7 years. As a matter of fact, she and I overlapped as students, and she was ready to go back to work and looking for a company that would take her as a stay-at-home mom, another soft spot for me. And she's been at Insignia now for 6 months. And then Luis, who's pictured there with his wife, is now at the MIC, and he was an intern for a year before he transitioned out of an accounting firm he had been working at. His wife was in a dentist's office working the front desk. They both live in Dublin, California, where Zeiss has put up their imaging customer center. She walked in there. She's doing something for the past 2 years we didn't train her on. She's working on her bachelor's degree. We gave her the confidence to be like, I can be trained on whatever you want to train me to do. I know you need employees. So that's Luis and Anna. Her sister did the same thing, Lupe, and she is at Exact Sciences now too, after being at ACD for 6 months. So Innovate Bio, I just wanted to kind of give a plug for this place where you can go find out about all these cool programs that exist throughout the country. If you're not familiar with Innovate Bio, I'm pretty sure some of the people in here are for sure. But that is like a great place to go learn about all the different programs in the country that are doing wonderful things to put people into the workforce. Did you get the picture? I'm sorry. Okay, so now I'm transitioning to the last part of my talk, which is the public health STEM part. I'll read this. The value of teaching students about public health and infectious disease extends beyond the classroom. Students can begin to understand their impact on the community, develop reasoning skills, and understand important public health policies, such as immunizations. As they learn more about these topics, students may also be inspired to pursue STEM-related careers. So for many of us, the public health comes first. The understanding how all of this impacts our communities, our families, our organizations that we belong to, then we can go and learn STEM and sit through 4 hours of lab and 3 hours of lecture. Because you cannot convince most of my students to do that because they have to get to work. They have to make money. They don't have time to sit around in that much schooling. So this is sort of like I don't have the data yet, but I know that there are people out there who agree with me, and we're trying to form this, that if you can combine the public health and STEM, you can get more and more students to stick with it when they see how it's culturally relevant to their improving their communities. So this started, my first implementation of this started in the summer of 2022 when I had 4 high school students in my summer institute. I had asked a few people, should I have a histotech track and a public health track? And these are all scientists. They all said, no, you need to combine it, keep it together. So during this time, colorectal cancer is one of the areas that I like to focus on is around this literacy and education. We did a poster here, called Colorectal Cancer Awareness Begins in High School. What high school students need to know. I let them no, they didn't cut the tissue, I take that back. I cut the tissue, they stained it, okay? Yeah, okay. So they stained the tissue when we were playing around with the histo side of it. But what they really were engrossed by understanding those risk and protective factors, how colorectal cancer is being diagnosed earlier and earlier in special populations, Lynch syndrome aside, like there are lifestyle factors that are affecting people who don't have that genetic mutation. And so we wanted to go through and learn about what those risk and protective factors were, and then what do high schoolers need to know? And they did great. We recorded this and everything, and I shared it around. One outcome, so my big scheme is to convert people into doing public health as well. Public health needs STEM, and STEM needs public health, okay? So if I have a STEM major, I want them to find some way to get them both kind of done. So I wrote to Kaya last summer to see if she wanted to be a part of a hackathon that I am a part of with antibody engineers, with Todd and Sandy. And she said she couldn't do it, but I had asked her what's up with her, and she sent this email back, asked for what's next for me. I'm going to UC San Diego to study public health with a concentration in environmental science. My major was heavily influenced by our summer program and by you. And thank you. Prior to that, she had asked me for help with her graduate poster presentation, which was focusing on Black males and colorectal cancer, which I know her goal is to go to medical school, and I was telling a group of people, every doctor I go to now has to have an MPH because it's a different level of care. So I'm excited that we're putting more physicians out there who will have that public health lens. So that opened up this new relationship that I'm building with OUSD, which is with their Public Health Academy. They held their final poster session, sorry, I'm so punchy. They held their poster session up at the campus at Merritt College. We have this beautiful view, and all the students and their parents came, their teachers came, my administrators came. Pictured here is my faculty, Saul Gamboa. He teaches at a charter school that is completely Latino, and that is by design that he is their teacher because he can connect with them on this science. He's their mentor. And this was just a wonderful thing. They're coming back on May 8th. I had to change a flight just so I can do it, and I didn't have to coordinate the presentation this year, so that was good. The relationships getting stronger with different things at the campus. I hope that made sense. It probably didn't, but to me it did. So this is another great thing. So I got my first dual enrollment class fall 2023, where I taught my genome to some high schoolers, and I really kind of changed that class up to make it a really public health genomics course where I could start working on my hypothesis. If I have a little bit of public health with a little bit of science, so they'll find it more interesting. And I got another one. So this is Aliyah Sharif here. She was one of the quietest students in the class, and most of the time I thought I was irritating her because she was so serious all the time. But then one day, like maybe 2 weeks left in class, I'm sitting at the front bench, and she's all like, Professor Ives. She's serious, her voice is deep. She's like, I have to tell you, I'm changing my major to public health. And I'm all like, okay, this is cool. Like, I didn't want to be uncool, right? But she was like, and I said, well, what was the other option? Well, undeclared. But I want to focus on the disparities of my people. And I was like, I get it. And so she has been a writer at The Scribe, and she has been writing in her paper about different things around genetic testing and the shortage of genetic counselors and how there's only 5 training programs in the state of California and how it does not representative well of the population. And then she, I covered cystic fibrosis and sickle cell disease disparities in funding, research, and everything quite deeply in the course. So around the same time, at the end of the course, the FDA approved the therapy for sickle cell disease, and included in this article is the $2 million cost for the therapy. So she was able to touch on some of the, how likely is this going to get to the folks who need it. But it's just a great introduction. This is, not too deep. My goal is to train students enough to hand them off to deeper experts who know more, keep them engaged, keep them excited. As you learn the disparities, you learn how it's affecting your community, then you need to figure out, well, what are the things that I need to do to change it? Do I need to learn the molecular science? What do I need to do? So that's the goal. It's working. Okay, finally, it's the last thing. So in my adult classes, so I train adult to go into jobs that pay pretty decent wages, not enough in the Bay Area, but decent. And for me, that didn't sit right with, oh, you do this great thing. You pay people to become histotechs. Well, we need all this histotechs because we have all this disease. Well, why do we have all this disease? Well, okay, we have an aging population, we have environmental racism, we have environmental injustices, and I needed them to know that there are environmental factors. So I built in public health into my course with a bunch of other faculty at Merritt. We attended a one-year open for anti-racism training. Hasna, picture here, was my trainer. She's fabulous. The goal of this is to create open educational resources for folks to pull off the OER Commons site, and they can modify the curriculum that we build and put up there for free, so it's there, open, to be modified. This is how I have it in my Canvas shell. So I break down 5 key areas of public health for basically a PH 101. We cover inequities, racism, and unconscious bias in healthcare, epidemiology and how it relates to communicable and non-communicable diseases, social determinants of health, public health goals with regard to racism in healthcare, and then I have a group focused on the negative history of research done in community colors in the name of public health. So most of the students, a lot of the students use the Public Health Services syphilis study at Tuskegee. I almost thought about removing that as an option to get them to explore more, but more than half of my students don't know about those studies. So I still want them to put that in the discussion board and have a discussion about it while also going to the wiki page for all the other curated negative history. So they all discuss that. That's fun. And then we do a little mini lit review. This is about the point where I have a handful of students who, well, not a handful, usually only one, who's like, why are we doing this? And so I created a sort of a list of things for them to watch about different health disparities in different communities that are their classmates. And at the same time, they're doing a mini lit review where they find a pathology paper and a health disparities paper on a disease that they're going to be all doing as a group. And they have a discussion about their findings. They can't use the same papers. And then this is just below. This is optional viewing for the students, optional reading. But I do have this there for them so they don't have to go find it for themselves. Half of my students are Asian, so I do kind of separate out the content for them to see that if you segregate all that data, outcomes, especially for my largest group, Filipinos, is not the same when you group it all together. I've got the little allergy sniffles, my bad. So this is usually the outcome. So they do their presentations as a group, and they talk about risk factors. They go over the histology and healthy tissue, pathogenic tissue. Some of them do way too much. I put a 12-minute limit on it, and I'm like, this is 23 slides. Can you please, being brief is a good skill to have. And then the screening and treatment disparities between Black and white patients in lung cancer. And then they go into all sorts of different things. And it's really fun to see what they discover. And by design, I do mix these groups up really well so that they are working with people who are different than them, who they might not naturally go to. And I'm there to kind of, just make sure everybody's doing okay. We spend a year together in 55 and 56, my beginning histotechniques and my advanced histotechniques, so they really get to know each other well. You need to change the batteries. Okay, so here are 2 resources. I'm getting done. I just love these. So you can get a mini Master of Public Health through Boston University if you want to get one. I just love that that exists for people who don't really understand or know the main concepts. And then most recently at the APHA, Public Health Association conference, we learned that Columbia was putting out a public health advocacy training as an MOOC, which is super exciting. It's a really great course. It's about 12 weeks for 1 to 2 hours per week. And then final slide, my acknowledgments. So 6 years of mentors, sponsors, trainers, partners, and leaders. The leaders are on here because even if they don't understand what I do, they don't get in the way, which is really as important as like knowing what I do, right? Those are all my administrators I have had over 4 years, except Andrew May. He was at Chan Zuckerberg Biohub, but he was my leadership. He did let me come in as a part-timer and made fun of me because I woke up at 4 a.m. as a new parent to get work done, but that's beside the point. My professional partners give me academia pipelines. My sponsors there include Todd and his wife Sandy, who take me along on many different things, including an ABRF talk we did a couple of years ago. My on-the-job and classroom trainers who, again, make sure I know that an adult who knows nothing about this equipment can be trained. And then my mentors who are there as well. Okay, thank you. Questions?
If you have any questions, please can use the mics.
Well, these are amazing programs. Thank you. I have one question about your grant about recruiting the students without a bachelor's degree. So what's the scale of your program, and how are you going to recruit? Where are the students coming from?
Oh, okay. So where do our students find out about our program?
I was wondering, how do you find the students? Yeah, the same question.
Yeah. Well, at this point now, the reputation. I mean, we do still advertise on Craigslist in the job areas for students who wouldn't normally find us, but at this point, it's like family members who come or searches, because histotech, there's only 2 in the state. There's only like 23 in the whole country, which is why there's no workforce. So if somebody knows of the histotech field, then we're the only game in town right now. So people drive from over 70 miles to get the training. But most of our students just see how warm and welcoming our homepage is. I have a video on there where I explain to them, this is a program where you can come and explore anything you want in science. I mean, she's a cell biologist, if you're interested in that. But at this point, we are just known. But we do try to go and seek students who do not know about us by advertising. Yeah.
And you probably mentioned this for your high school students program. How many students are in each, you are hosting each summer?
So in the summer, I have 4 students. During the school year, during dual enrollment, Saul every semester has about 30. I had 33 in my fall class. In this coming fall, I'll have 2 courses, Intro to Healthcare, Health Careers, and My Genome, and I'll have about 55 students in both of those. So yeah, we're touching about 110, 120 high school students a year, or will be next year.
Hi.
Hi.
First, congratulations. Well
Thank
deserved,
you.
clearly, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks.
Of course, one of my first thoughts, I'm on the opposite coast, but I'm like, how can I recruit your students to my core?
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, one, if you do have that interest of people wanting to leave, maybe reaching, if there are some of us who could reach out and say, oh, we have positions outside of the state. So that's one opportunity. And then the second is, how do you, could you think about developing these things? Because I've thought about that. I don't think I have the bandwidth myself, but like, how can I start suggesting this to people that might be able to help to develop this at our community colleges in Richmond, Virginia? How can we start trying to get something like that going? Because I mean, we're so understaffed with the Department of Pathology, right? We have no histotechs, and I run the histopathology core too, so we want them both places.
Yeah. There's so many options there. So most of our students want to stay in the Bay Area, but there exist other training programs throughout the state. So one thing we could probably do is look at what's close to you. I've had Doug Richardson at Harvard reach out to me asking me the same question. I help him identify all the different cores around him in Massachusetts. He already had been working with one of the community colleges out there, I think the director of all the cores on genomics, and so he was wanting to do the same for imaging. The thing is that we need more cores. We need that grants to be funded to build more cores, or not cores, training programs, and build those pipelines. That is, I believe, in the works, but again, it comes down to equipment. Our histo program started by just getting we already had the microscopy, we just got 2 microtomes. I'm up to 16 microtomes now because I have 16 students per lab. But we started with just like 2 or 3, and the first class was like 7 students, and we weren't even accredited at the time. We didn't get accredited till 5 years ago, so we were teaching. I hope you're not in New York.
No.
Okay, so you're not in New York or Florida, right? In Virginia. Okay, so you can still have uncertified techs working with you. I don't think you're maybe not at a hospital either, but or maybe you are. But yeah, no, we need. It's both, right? It's industry, hospitals, academia, all working together to create these programs. And can we connect, like, this is like an Innovate Bio, like, I feel like there's like all the people in the room to help you.
Yes.
And we'll do that, okay? And they don't have to like you can teach people how to cut. That's what we've been doing the last 50 years, right? Yeah, they just have to know it exists, right? Yeah.
For that great talk. Thanks for your service. I mean, it's not a question, it's more of a comment or observation. As we all know that younger and younger people are getting cancers, especially colorectal cancer. I really like what you're talking about, high school students who may be athletes and people that nothing happens to them, they think. And it's a taboo area, right? When you talk about colorectal cancer, I really appreciate what you're reaching out the younger people, and they see people up there in this, talked about the taboo goes down and the people tend to go and get checked. Yeah. And kudos to you and your program. It's more of a comment than a question. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, let's give Feather another round of applause.
Okay, cool. Thank you.